My name is Paulise and welcome to my art room. Today I'm going to show you how to make puppets. So the first thing we're going to want to do for our puppet is make the head. So what you're going to need is a 2-inch styrofoam ball and a wood stylus. What you're going to do is stick the stylus into the styrofoam. It might be easier to just have your students press down onto the table. What you're gonna do next is you're gonna get your aluminum foil and some masking tape. You're gonna take one piece of foil. So we're gonna construct the profile of our puppet. So what we're gonna do is crunch this up down here, and we're gonna stick this down onto the bottom half of our ball. This is going to form the chin area for our puppet. You then take some masking tape and you make sure that it's attached firmly onto the head. Right. Next, you're going to get another piece of styrofoam or another piece of aluminum foil, and this is going to be the neck. So you're going to fold the foil in half, like so, kind of like a long hot dog, and you're going to want to wrap that around the bottom, the base of the styrofoam ball, like this. Make sure you squeeze it nice and tight. Again, take another piece of masking tape, make sure that is attached completely on to your styrofoam. So again, we're making a profile, which is the side view of a face. So the last part we need is our nose. So you can actually rip off a smaller piece of aluminum foil. You don't need such a large one. And what you do is you're going to kind of fold it into a triangle shape. Okay, so I'm just going to keep folding it over. Move this up. Keep folding it until it forms a triangle for the nose. So that's still a little big. I need to fold it over one more time. All right, once you have that aluminum foil triangle, you're going to want to attach that onto the side of your puppet's face. So again, take another piece of masking tape. Make sure that you've attached it firmly onto the side of your puppet. Okay, so you can see what it looks like from the front and from the side. So if it's not completely attached, just press down a little bit harder or use a little bit more masking tape. Here's another finished example of the head. The next step now is to cover this in plaster. So you're going to want to take some plaster strips and some water. So if you've never used this before, this is plaster gauze. So you can actually buy it in strips, and I like to cut them up into smaller 1-2-inch pieces for students to use. So the way this works is you take one strip at a time, you dip it all the way in the water. I like to have them rinse the extra off, get some of that extra plaster water off of the plaster. You're gonna then cover, and then when you put it on, you don't want to just slap it on. You really want to make sure that you smooth it. So really encourage your students or yourself to really just smooth that plaster down. So you're going to want to keep doing this. Dip, put it on, and smooth. You're going to want to keep doing this until you have covered your entire puppet head all the way around with plaster. Around the neck, around the foam, making sure that all of the face is covered and really smoothed. All right, once you've done that, so this one's dry, you're gonna wanna wait a class period to make sure that the plaster dries. The next step, once you have your completed puppet head, is to paint the skin color. So I like to provide students with various skin color paints that they then mix themselves. So what you're gonna do, I give students 1 cup, and what they do is they mix these different colors together to create their own unique skin color for their puppet. They can make their puppet whatever skin color they would like, but I really encourage them to mix and create a unique, one-of-a-kind color. Once they have that, they're going to paint the entire puppet head with that color paint. The next step, once that has dried, you have a completed puppet head. The next step is to add the facial features. I provide students with an example that shows them step by step how to draw each part, how to draw an eye and a mouth. Inside each of these rectangles, they fill in the entire shape. They draw 2 eyes and a mouth for their puppet. So once they've drawn these 2 eyes and a mouth, they're going to color them, cut them out, and then glue them onto their puppet head. So this is the next step of that process, all right? Once they have that, they get to select their puppet's hair. So I have different colored yarns, different thicknesses that they can cut and glue on for their puppet's hair. Now they have their puppet heads complete. So the next step is to create the body of the puppet. For the body of the puppet, I provide 2 templates. So I have a short sleeve template and a long sleeve template pattern. So what students do is they cut out this pattern. I also have them write their names so that they can use it as a label later. They find a piece of fabric, they place this on top, they get a marker, so you can see how she used the green marker, and they outline the pattern onto the fabric so that they end up with 2 pieces of fabric that they cut out. So you can see here the student had cut out the 2 pieces of fabric. Once they have their 2 pattern pieces cut out, they place them on top of each other, and then they begin the sewing process. So you can see here how they've started to sew. So I teach students 2 types of stitches. I give them the option of using either a running stitch, also known as a dolphin stitch, or a whip stitch, which they kind of whip around and is a little bit faster. So what they do, following their template, their pattern, they start in the bottom right corner, they sew up, following the dotted lines, going around and stopping at the top. They then do the same on the other side. To assist with this, I have another handout. It's a getting started. So I have students have the clear directions. They first get their needle and thread. They cut 1 long piece of thread. They thread their needle, tie a knot at the end, and then they begin to sew. So while they're sewing, they're making sure that both pieces of fabric are attached as they push and pull. Once they reach the top end, I have them flip this direction over, and it shows them what to do when they reach the end. So the first thing they're going to want to do is cut the thread at the bottom of the needle. They pull it apart, they tie a knot, and then basically they repeat that step 2 times so that they have a knot at the end. Once they have all of their clothing done, they turn their fabric inside out, and they will hot glue the head inside of the body. You can see here how they've glued the head. It's inside out. It's on the body. The next step is for hands. So I have, again, 2 patterns, either a long sleeve pattern or short sleeve pattern that they cut out. They place on a piece of felt to cut out their hands. So they take this piece, they find a felt color that matches their puppet skin, they put it on top, draw it, cut it out, and then they are ready to glue their hands onto their puppet. Once they've done that, it's just all about adding final details. So I have cardboard that they can use to make different mixed media materials here. So she made a little beret. I also have some fabric and feathers that they can use. Here I have one student who made a football player. This was a piece of wood that he painted brown to look like the football. The helmet is actually a plastic ornament that I had them paint red and then wire on the front. Here is another example. You can see she made her baker, had a little frying pan, so this was a toothpick and cardboard that they covered in aluminum foil. The hat was a paper cup that they covered in fabric. And this was again cardboard and a pom-pom. So as you can see, they're able to use the hot glue gun to add all sorts of creative and unique elements to their puppets. I hope you enjoyed making puppets with me today. If you would like more resources on this and other projects, including step-by-step directions, please feel free to check out my blog at misspaulalise.blogspot.com. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!